welcome to Stress Free Now. This is Dr. Bob, the Stress Relief Doctor. I have the pleasure today to welcome an amazing young woman, Stacey Williams, and she has written a book that I'm going to let her tell her story and introduce herself. But I am so glad that her sister had encouraged her in every way to get this book finished, because many people feel like they have a book inside of them, one or more, and they want to do it. So this young woman, Stacey Williams, has been able to do what many people want to do, which is to all those years think that they had a book, and then she wrote it. So Stacey, welcome, and thank you for being our featured guest today.
Hi, Dr. Bob, and thank you for having me.
Yes, it's a pleasure. So Stacey, tell the viewers and listeners a little bit about yourself. How is it that you came to write this book, and tell them the title and the relationship of the title to who you are.
Okay. All right. So I am a banker by profession, but I've always had a love for writing, and this started from high school when you were doing like stories for your English assignments, that sort of thing. And so I started actually, trying to get my life story out there. I started writing in 2013, and I just didn't finish. I started, but just didn't happen. But this time around, got started, and voila, the book was birthed. So the title of the book is Memoir of Kitty's Number 17. I am the 17th child for my father. My father was Keith Williams, and he was more popularly known as Kitty. And so the title pretty much says, memoirs of me. Right. So it's pretty much my story from age 16 to age 32. And it's just highlighting the highs and the lows, of my life. As to how I got started writing, last year, around about this time, I started doing just motivational posts on a daily basis for Lent. And I started doing it on social media. Once Lent had come to a close, I started thinking about whether it is I wanted to continue doing the posts, or whether it was over, because it was really something I took on for Lent. And once I'd stopped, like persons started asking, what was going on. And, there's a lot of feedback coming back as to how the posts, helped persons and, encouraged them and motivated them. And coming out of that, I decided to start a blog. So I started a blog in May of last year. And from the blog, I started doing motivational posts, and then I started putting bits and pieces of my life story on the blog. And the response was just overwhelming. I really didn't recognize that there were so many persons who, were just going through stuff and just needed somebody that they could relate to. And everybody was encouraging me, you need to do a book, you need to do a book. They complained bitterly about the blog post being too short, and not being enough for them, and them can't wait, that long time for me to just write another post for them to follow up on. So, they were really encouraging, to say, do a book, please do a book. And I guess we got there eventually.
Right. So Stacey, one of the most amazing things that I see, that I think viewers and listeners would want to know about, is your process. Okay, many people who are writing experience what's known as writer's block. They're staring at the page, what to do. And when I learned more about your story, how it came about to that the actual writing of the book and putting it together, you wrote the book in less than 45 days. and 300 plus pages. And so I'm the reason I'm highlighting that is for encouragement to other people. There's so many people out there that they have a book inside of them, or a book series, and you know, you're just a regular person, we're just regular people, and so we can say, yeah, you can do that. So talk about, I think it's really important for people to understand. You wrote a book of over 300 pages, but the actual writing was really fast. The process that led up to the writing was long, like you said, in 2017, but you know, because this is 2022, but from a very short time in January of 2022 to February, and then your book was out. So talk about how your big sister gave you a little nudge, and you know, she did what my brother famously calls, she stepped on your shoe without messing up your shine, which is to give you encouragement and support. And it's that that little tap on the shoulder, which is that you can do it, go ahead. We all need that.
Right. So as you mentioned, my big sister Maxine was one of the persons who was constantly on me about, you know, getting the book out, getting it started, because she was also following the blog. And, you know, for her, the blog was an eye opener, because a lot of the things that she saw there, she didn't know that, you know, I had experienced. So, you know, she was constantly on me about, you know, getting the book started. And I doubted myself as to whether I could do it. And
Hey, say that part again.
yes, I doubted myself as to whether I
many
could
people
do it.
have self-doubt, right?
Yes, I did. And I started giving her excuses. So, you know, I said to her, oh, you know, my laptop, my personal laptop, it's not up and running. And, you know, I can't do something of this nature on my work laptop. And the next thing I know, you know, I got a laptop and I was told, start writing. And so,
Wow.
you know, even when I got
wow. how about that?
Yeah.
That's a miracle. That's an example of a miracle, don't you think?
It was the manifestation of something great. Yes, it
right,
was.
but it's actually a miracle. If you think
Yeah.
about what a laptop costs, and you got to think about where your sister is, and it's not like she's down the block, right? And
right. So she had to get
you
it to
had
me
to
in
ship
Jamaica.
it
Yes.
international, right? And you got it, and you were able to set it up and use it. And so
Yeah.
that's a miracle. I just wanted to say that. Thank you, Maxine.
Right. So, and even then, like, I got the laptop like early January, and, you know, I still didn't get that drive to actually start writing. But once I started, as at the end of January, I think I started like about the 17th of January. And once I started, it's like everything just started flowing. It was just so easy. And I just couldn't stop myself. So, you know, I was writing until 3-4 o'clock in the morning, you know, getting some sleep, reporting to work at 8:15, finish work at 5, you know, have an hour break to have my dinner, start writing back at 6. And then, you know, the process continued every day. So every day it was the same thing. On Fridays, I would write most Friday evenings until like 7 Saturday morning, and then I would get some sleep.
Wait,
but
say that part again. You would come home from work after a whole week of work, start writing after dinner at 7 p.m. and finish writing when? Did you say 7 a.m.?
Yeah, following morning.
Okay,
yeah.
so that's so audience and listeners, are you paying attention when you are engaged in a project that puts you in a flow state and you're doing something that you love? Voila, look, you're able to stay up. You know, I'm not saying that it's a good idea to make a habit of doing that, but this is what it takes sometimes. This is called burning the midnight oil. And
yeah. But the thing is, Dr. Bob, I didn't feel sleep deprived at all.
Exactly.
You know, and I didn't need caffeine or anything like that. And, you know, it comes back to, something that I've always told myself, and it is that passion drives success. So if you're passionate about anything at all, you're going to give it 150%. And, once I started and I recognized that I had it in me, I was able to do it, it was just full speed ahead.
Right. Very, very good. I think it's important, and people can really relate to what's going on. Now, so Stacey, here's the thing. As I read the book, I kept saying, I saw a lot of passive aggressive behavior in the relationship. I saw codependency. Um, for people that don't know the story, tell briefly what your story is about, and especially the relationship with Christopher, and then how is it you came to have a child, and then some just a few of the highlights, the imaginations of being in that relationship and being in a situation where you have a child and you don't have the money, so you can't move out. But then even when you get to the point where you can move out, you hesitate to move out. And then when you do move out, the person is tracking you and all kinds of stuff. I'll just put it under stuff. And to me, the most incredible aspect of a story like yours is that, let me see if I get this right. The guy is catting around with a lot of people, but you, if you even look at another guy, got a problem with it. So talk to that. Tell the listeners and viewers of just what your story is basically about, how you had the child, and then and where you are now, because I think that's what they really want to know.
Okay. All right. So as a teenager in high school, I got involved with an older male. And once I had completed high school, he saw it fit to actually, get me to migrate to a foreign country that he was now living in. He sold it from the standpoint that, it would be beneficial to me. More opportunities would have been made available to me there than there were in Jamaica. And also the fact that my parents weren't able financially to actually further my education here in Jamaica, as by this time they were like, my mother by this time would have been in her 40s and my dad in his 50s. So it was sold from the standpoint that this would be a grand opportunity for me to go overseas, further my education, and just become a better person,
Right.
And that was the expectation.
You fell for it.
Yes, I did. I was sold to the idea.
Yeah.
And not only was I sold to the idea, but the fact that, he was present during my final years in school. He was assisting, tuition and all of that. So I didn't expect anything less, because he had already offered that kind of assistance and was there for me in that capacity. So I expected nothing less than that. But once I got to England, it was like, rude awakening. The dream I was sold was not the reality I faced. It was completely different. And, everything started.
Wait, stop, time out.
Right.
Say that part again, because I think a lot of times, people have this vision dream of immigrating to another country. Like sometimes I hear people with these stories about, they think there's like gold in the streets in the United, when they come to the United States, and then they're like, I'm working 4 jobs. I was like, duh, it's not like this is not like in the movies. So
Yeah.
so you're saying that the image you had in your mind and the expectation that you had when you're going to this new country, and it turned out to be pretty much the opposite.
Complete
unfortunately.
opposite.
Right. And so that happens to many people where, for example, they think they're coming for a job as an au pair or to work as a waitress, and then the next thing they're in really, really hot water trouble
Yeah.
when they get there. The people take their passports and it's tough, and they might not even be getting paid and working and working and working. So you went to England. So how long were you in England before you had the your child?
So I got there the September of 2001, and my son was born August of 2002.
Oh, okay. Oh, so it
So
wasn't that
it
long.
was very quick succession, but even that in itself, like, you know, I thought every time I think about it, I think like there was some plan to it, because when I saw everything that was happening there, I called my mom and I said, look, this is not as we were told it was going to be, and I'm coming home, right? And the plan was, once my passport had come back, then I was going to leave, because when the reality hit me hard, I was like, no, this is not me. And I think, based on the fact that I had planned on leaving, I think the gentleman actually had another plan, because when I had doubts as to, first and foremost, I didn't want to believe I was pregnant. So
You didn't
anything,
want to believe you were pregnant.
no, I didn't want to, because that was not the right time. It was not the right time. Remember, I'm planning to come back home, and coming back home to Jamaica with a child, it would not have been the best situation.
I understand.
Yeah. So once I started saying, oh, what's going on, he was adamant. He was like, you're pregnant, and I was like, nah, I'm not. So but he was hell-bent on it. He was like, yes, you're pregnant, and I'm like, nah. And this was like even before I actually went and did a test, and I was just in denial. I was just saying no. So once I was like doing the book and thinking back on certain things, I was saying to myself, was this part of his plan? Because had my passport come back and had I leave England, then that would have pretty much had been it, where he and I are concerned. So was this part of the plan? Kind of a little kind of entrapment, but who knows? But whatever it was, I'm really happy for my son. It didn't come under the best of circumstances, but he's a blessing to me nevertheless. And he's like the biggest motivation or factor in my life.
Right.
So I'm grateful for that. But yes, like the life that I foresee in England, it was far from it. I mean, the first time I actually experienced hunger was in England. No matter how hard things were for us in Jamaica, I've never not had anything to eat, or had a situation where I couldn't find anything to eat, where I was hungry and there was nothing there and there was no money or anything to that effect. I've never had that experience whilst I was home. But, I went to England and I had that experience for the first time in my life, right? So,
which, by the way, many people today have had, during the lockdowns. I remember in 2020 seeing an image on TV was so shocking, Stacey. They showed, they said, this is the image of people waiting online for food at a food bank. And I said, oh my gosh, this can't be. There were 10,000 cars online waiting for food. So I thought that was like waiting for a football game or a soccer match. They're waiting. And so what the reporter was saying was that most of the people in the line were people who had never, ever in their lives gone to a food bank or even thought that could possibly happen to them. Some of them had been evicted. Some of the people were living in their cars with their children. And so this is, like you said, it is eye-opening and mind-blowing. And and again, I think an important thing for the audience to know is that look at your age. You basically were very young. You know, you had just finished high school. And so, and then you go to another country and then boop, you're pregnant. So, you know, but you're not the first person that's ever happened to. And that's why I'm saying, that's why your story is so good, because you're really telling it where the pedal hits the metal, you know, where the leather's on the road, that it is not always a pretty picture. But the best part about your story is that you are able to show people by keeping hope alive, that you seeing that light at the end of the tunnel. So I want you to talk about that, because one of the most beautiful things about your book is the way you end it. And you said, you know, and I took some notes. You know, I normally don't talk with notes, but I took some notes because you went through so many hard things, and, you know, back and forth, and the readers will see what I mean when I say back and forth. We're not going to give that away. The other nice thing about your book, Stacey, is that you've written it in bite-sized chunks, because it were blog posts. It's such an easy read, you know, because people today are very busy. And, you know, they'll say, oh, I don't have time for that. And then they'll start reading your thing and they're like, oh, this is easy. And the way your writing style draws the reader in. And then the next thing you know, you've been reading for 20 minutes, and then now 40 minutes has gone by. And it's like, oh, okay, I got to cook dinner, but I'm coming back, because it's in bite-sized chunks. It's not long chapters. It's not boring. And
that was deliberately done, because I'm not an avid reader, right? I only started reading since the pandemic, and the first book I read was The Game of Life and How to Play It by Florence Shin. And I realized that the chapters for that was very small, so I was able to get through. But, you know, like many other persons out there, once I open a book, the first thing I look at is like, how many pages are there in the chapter? You know, what is the expectation of me? How much things I have to read in order to get an understanding as to what is happening? And I didn't want that, because I know that is a challenge for a lot of persons, and it turns them off. So I wanted to do it like in a blog style, so that, you know, every blog speaks its own story, and it's easy for you to follow on. You don't have to try and, you know, read an entire chapter to get what it is that I'm saying. You know, from the get-go, you get exactly what is happening.
Right. Well, the reason I'm flashing to the end of what you say, because there's so much going on in the world right now, so we don't need to even go into it. But you know, I took some notes, and so one of the things that stood out to me is, you know, the underlying issue is our self-care, worthiness, and you deserve better. I came away looking at that, and I said, you know, throughout your story, which is that, you know, you want to be in a position to always be taking care of yourself, right? And then that and the sense of, you know, with that part of us that gives the self-doubt. I call that the internal sniper, because it always hits you right at the weak moment, right? But that has to do with your sense of worthiness, that you deserve and you're worth it. And then I like what you were saying about, you know, giving yourself space so that you don't accept certain types of things and behaviors, because many people, you know, they put up with so much stuff, and you ask them, well, my gosh, why didn't you do something? And so one of the other things I just want you to speak about is that you say, don't live according to someone else's definition of you. Define yourself. And then this is the best one. This is the best line. You go, life is easy. People make it hard.
They do.
And then you close with, love and light, because I want to know where you got that from. So tell me that. So life is easy, but people make it hard. Go.
So that has just been a mantra that I've embodied as my own. I've always looked at it to say that, things could be so much simpler if it
Right.
is that we communicate and communicate effectively. So I've looked at it, from the standpoint of a relationship and look at some of the issues that we have in the relationship. And, I've come to the conclusion that if we are open and honest persons in the relationship, it would really be easy for us to get along, if it's a situation where it's not working, for us to have that honest discussion to say it's not working, other than for us to, try and go and seek other partners or, cheat or anything like that. If it is that there is something about me that you have a problem with, or, that you think it's going against something that you believe in, why not just say it to me? Why would you go and say it to everybody else except me? How is it going to be addressed? And then it comes off now as if you're trying to be difficult, but it's not that I'm trying to be difficult, but you have not said to me what the issue is, what the problems are, what is it that we need to resolve. You have not had that discussion with me at all. So I just think that if we are honest in how we go about doing things, and if we, are true to ourselves and truthful in our day-to-day doings, then it would just be an easier process. But we tend to lie, we tend to pretend, and that just complicate things. So that's just my thought process, that life in itself, it's very easy. It's very easy, get up, get going, get along on your merry little way, whatever it is you have to do. But then, once you factor in people, then that's where sometimes the complication comes. And I mean, look at even a situation like, with friends, everything might be going good and fine. And, the moment, something might be happening for you that's not happening for your friend, then, a little streak of jealousy might come in, and then, the whole relationship starts getting complicated, right? But if it is that there is,
it's I'm chuckling because you what did you say? It becomes a little complicated. No, see, so this is the issue. The issue is, how do we surround ourselves with people that are 100% for us? So here's the thing. Okay, so Stacey is riding a bike, and then she gets a motorcycle. But now when she gets a car, the neighbor next door goes, I got to move because they can't buy a car. What I'm saying is that one of the things that I've noticed, and that's why I really love your story, is how petty some people can be. You say that can't be the reason. It's so silly.
Yeah.
I mean, so silly. Like on the reverse side would be, I'm talking to someone, and then, and I'm asking them, give me the down low on why you broke up. Well, he did a lot of things I didn't like. Give me an example. I said, well, did he not put the toilet seat down and you fell in the toilet in the middle of the night? No. He did stuff like he didn't put the cap on the toothpaste. And I go, what else? Well, he put dishes in the sink and he didn't wash them right away. I go, that's it? I said, what? Are you crazy? You know what I'm saying?
But did she at that point in time say, look, you're leaving the dishes in the sink?
Oh, yeah.
Like
but what I'm talking about, order of magnitude. So when I'm saying with all the serious things, I'm saying, listen, the guy comes home, he puts his money on the table. He's not cheating. He's not hanging out at the strip club. He goes to church. And you're busting his chops for not putting the cap on. So I gave the reverse example because what I'm saying, I already know about in Jamaica, where it's unfortunate. I was actually startled being in a situation where I was the only American pretty much in this Jamaican Malou, which was very, very nice. But there were many things about Jamaican culture I did not know. Like, for example, if I walk into a room and I'm supposed to know who everybody is. Well, I don't. I don't know that that's the ambassador's son, or this is the daughter of the prime minister. I don't
Right.
know, because I don't know. So the thing is that one of the things that you talk about is about what you don't know that you don't know, and but look at what you know now that can really help people. So I
Yeah.
want to encourage viewers and listeners to check out your book. Now, Stacey, say the title of your book again, and here's a tip, audience. If you, when you go to Amazon and you type in Stacey Williams' name as in the search bar, she's the only Stacey. She's the main Stacey Williams that comes up. It's amazing. As long as you put the E in Stacey, so it's Stacey. If you spell Stacey without the E, it's different. But I was amazed, and because I just put your name in because originally I couldn't remember the title.
You got
And
it
I said,
right.
oh, let
Okay.
me type in Stacey Williams, and then like the third item down, I said, oh, there's your book. Fantastic. Do you know, like, my name is, if you type in my name, there are thousands of Robert Wright. So I can't even find my name if I type it in just like that. I have to, so that's one of the beauties in this particular case. Just remembering your name, Stacey Williams, it's easy for people to find your book. And then, we're waiting right now. I wrote a review for your book, so hopefully
Right.
it will be up soon. But I just want you to before we go, Stacey, I want you to something else that you said that I wrote that I thought was so very good. Oh, I know. I wanted to ask you about the travel, because I love to travel, and many people love to travel, because every New Year's Eve they do a survey and they ask people, what's your number one New Year's wish? And 74% of the people say, oh, I want to take a dream vacation during the year. Well, after the pandemic lockdown, it's now 93% people saying, I want to get out of here. So I wanted to ask you, when you travel to Canada and you travel to the UK, how important, as you reflect back, is that was that process part of your growth versus if you believed if you just stayed in Jamaica? Because what I'm saying is, I think travel changes us and changes the people we interact with, but people don't normally talk about it. So just talk about the shifts in your consciousness and your thinking and just your awareness. You saw what, you come into London, you go, oh, you come into Toronto, you go, oh, it's different than Jamaica, the weather, the people, the food. So talk a little bit about that, how that affected your growth and your creativity, actually.
So it was definitely an eye opener. England, definitely. I remember once we're close to landing and I saw all the houses with the chimneys and all of that. And I was like, oh my God, and the red brick. And I was like, is this England that everybody's talking about? But the experience in itself would actually help with my growth because I've now experienced a different culture altogether. I can now actually go in rooms and speak about that experience. So I'm not lost in conversations if persons are saying, they've gone to Madame Tussauds or they've gone to the London Eye, or, all of that. I would know what they're referring to. If they say they're going to Eurostar, I know what they're speaking about. So whilst there were things that I probably wouldn't have experienced myself, based on the fact that, my situation there, I got to do no touristy anything. It was just strict survival. But I am aware of those things. So at least I could actually engage in a conversation, as it relates to England and living there and, some of the things that you can expect to happen that you can prepare yourself for. Canada was another eye-opener because then you saw like somewhat of a flip side. I saw how it differs, significantly from England. And, the weather there,
Right.
I thought England was cold, but I
Right.
think Canada is on a different level of cold.
Oh yeah, yeah.
But I think you know, you being able to travel and have new experiences, you know, it actually helps in your growth. It helps, you know, it's like an eye opener all over, you know, just to experience something different. So, you know, you have other viewpoints that you are open to, that you know, you
Well,
can speak on.
you know, the Canada thing, what you wrote about,
Mhm.
you wrote first that you had applied on your own and you were rejected, you were denied, right? So many
Yes,
people
yes.
have had that experience of wanting to travel to a country and then their
Right.
visa application is denied. Well, first of all, they have to
Right.
get up the courage to do an application. And then
Right.
the reason that what was helpful is that when you had someone assist you with the process, right?
The thing is, Canada's policies are, you know, different from like America, England. So they have a strict policy where if it is that you're taking a child under 18 out of the country and into Canada, then both parents have to consent to that child actually entering the country. So that was what posed the problem for me. The fact that I was applying as a single mother, and you know, they're saying that they needed consent from the father. So, you know, that was what actually stalled the process for me.
So how did you get around it? I know you
I
wrote
had to,
about
I
a
had
guy,
to,
Mark. You were
yeah.
able to get around it.
No, no, actually, I had to ask my son's father to, they set a meeting and I had to ask him to
Oh,
come to the
okay.
embassy as
Oh,
well.
good. So he said,
Yeah.
so it said, okay, all right. And so you, and also you know, you said the people that you met in Canada,
Mhm.
it was as if you had known them. And what I'm saying is that that I want for the audience to get that sense of what it's like to travel to a new place and you meet people and as if they're like people you
Your
knew
family, you're
before.
like family.
Right. And so they adopt you and they're happy for
Yeah.
you.
Yeah.
It is a very amazing kind of thing because you know, especially if you come from a culture like here in the United States where every, you know, like, you know, I'm from New York. So like, you know, sometimes if you even say good morning to a stranger, they're like, oh, well, you're trying to rob me. Versus if you go to another part of the country, like you're in the South, everybody
Yeah.
says good morning, how are you?
Right.
And so in I remember the first time I went to Bermuda and it was Boxing Day. And of course, as an American, I didn't know what Boxing Day was. And so I'm walking down the street and the people say, come on inside, man, have a drink. And I was like, but I don't know you. They said, come on inside. And I went from house to house eating and drinking. It was one of the
Okay.
most fabulous experiences I ever had in my life. I've never been any place that like that, where people just invited me in their homes. I don't know if they still do that because, you know, the times have changed.
Right.
But I was in,
Yeah.
that was in, that I'll just say that was a while ago. So, but in any event, my point is that to be welcomed
Mhm.
as a stranger and that but then not to be embraced as family is a
Mhm.
wonderful thing.
It is. It
It
really
is.
is. You know, and I've
And you take
actually,
it with you.
right, I've actually made like lifelong friends, you know, with those people. You know, we're in touch. You know, it might not be as often as we would like because, as you can imagine, you know, life happens and everybody's on the go. But you know, once we touch base, it's as if, you know, we are in contact every day. You know, there's no awkwardness. The conversation just flows, and even if it takes us like 3-4 months to actually touch base again, it's the same thing. But yeah, they became lifelong friends. Well, they're more like family.
Great. So, Stacey, as we start to wrap up this talk, this is the first of several talks that we'll be doing because you know I will be waiting for your next book. And you know, listen, that's the thing. You know, once you see that you wrote this book basically in 45 days, you know, I'm more or less. You know, I mean, it was percolating in the background for years.
It
But the
was.
but my point is to the audience, the actual writing, you actually wrote it and put it together in less than 45 days. The actual put it together, because you didn't get the computer to January,
I did.
and your book was available what, February 24th, right? You know,
It
so
was actually published on February 19th.
okay,
Yeah.
so there you go. I'm saying that it's definitely less than 45 days, the process, and you are to be congratulated. And you know, I wouldn't be surprised if people what you've done is very motivational, especially once people start reading about your story. You started as a young girl, you know, the odds were against you. You know, you had the wool pull over your eyes, and then you know, you had to fight tooth and nail. You didn't really talk that much about the fighting tooth and nail, but they'll get that when they get the book, that you tooth and nail, you know. And audience, all I'll say is for anyone that knows that song, it's a thin line between love and hate. That would give you an idea where the guy's been coming in late and she makes his food, she's been quiet, but then at the end, well, anybody knows that song, I don't have to tell you what the end it is. So, because I think there was a movie with Martin Lawrence where the thin line between love and hate, and then there's the Persuade is the song. So it's a warning. So the thing is that fortunately, you are now well adjusted, move forward,
Yeah.
and you have a beautiful son, and you know, you paid your dues. If you look at it like that, you know, people, you know, can suck their teeth and say she ain't all that, but listen, because I know you've heard that. You see what I'm saying? That we all have, unfortunately, but they have not walked a mile in our high heel shoes. People just see from the outside. Oh, she's driving a nice car. Oh, she wears nice clothes. Oh, whatever. She's going on vacation again. Listen, she's paid her dues. And so, it's like you tell someone, I'll trade your bills for my bills. Right. And then they go, oh, no. Okay. So stop. You know, I'll trade these 5 years experience. Let's see. I had the death of 21 family and friends in 4 years. Want to trade that? Right. And so it's quiet. Right.
No.
So they don't want to hear that. They just want to hear the syrup and the jelly and the sweet stuff. But it's not.
And I think that's why it was also important for me, Dr. Bob, to put it out there, because people will see you, like you said, and you're doing certain things, but they don't understand that you being able to do it now is a privilege in itself, because it was something that you would have really wanted to be able to do before, and you couldn't have, you know. And being in banking, you know, a lot of times, you know, customers would sit in front of me, and you know, they're in problems, and you know, they're saying to me that I wouldn't understand. And you know, I want to say, yes, I do understand, because you know, I have also been there. But in the professional capacity, you know, I can't actually pour that out to them to say that, you know, look, you know, I used to be in this situation, I know what you're talking about, or, you know, anything like that. You know, I have to maintain my composure and just try to guide them as best as I can. But it's all part of the growth. It's all part of my journey. And, you know, it's all a part of the divine design of my life. And, you know, I have accepted it all. And I think the book was the final piece of the puzzle, you know. And I've only just come to realize that, you know, it indeed is the final piece of the puzzle, because whilst I've healed from the experiences and I've forgiven who I need to forgive in order to move forward, you know, but putting it out there and basically leaving myself naked for everybody to see who I am, you know, who Stacey Williams really is, you know, I think this is the final bit of the healing, to say that, you know, I've accepted it all and it can no longer hold me prisoner.
That is so beautiful and so true. So what you've done is is what I call a step up, because when you can talk about your experiences of hurt and former trauma in a way that is you're not distraught, that you can say, this happened to me,
Yeah.
and I'm not the only one. And just tell our listeners before we go, Stacey, what give them a sense of the things that the feedback, then when people they read the book and they what they actually said to you. Was it, oh wow, you actually did it, or I had the same thing happen to me? Tell me, give them
So
some
the
specific things.
feedback is mixed. So you'll have people who actually call me crying because, they're saying that they can't believe that I actually, went through all the things that I did at that age, and they're saying to me, you pretty much didn't have, a teenage kind of stage of your life for you to enjoy certain things. You had to grow fast because, you had a child on your hands and all these things that were happening in your life. And you'll have the persons who see it as encouragement for them based on whatever situation that they might be in currently. And they feel motivated because they saw that at the end of my situation, at least I saw some light. So the feedback is mixed, but it's all positive. It's all people saying how proud they are of the fact that I actually put this my entire life out there. And it's persons actually saying how it has helped them to actually do some introspection, look into certain situations that they might be in currently, and try to move forward out of those situations. So the feedback has been very good so far. Like you said earlier, one of the one thing that I hear constantly is the fact that once they start reading, it is hard for them to stop reading.
Right.
I had a friend who read the book in 3 days.
Right.
Because she was saying that even when she was at work, as soon as she got a break, she took the book with her and she was out and she was back at it again. So I was very happy about that, the fact that persons, it was engaging for persons, and people just didn't look at it to say, oh, it's our life story. I'm happy that they could actually get something out of it, and something positive, and not just focus on the bad things that had happened, but to actually try and look to see how they could use me as inspiration for themselves.
Well, I am inspired by your story, and some of the stuff I was like, whew. I was like, there's too much drama here for me, but this was your life, and so
Was
there are many people that I know that when you dig down, where they're when they lay it on the line, so part of the issue is that when we normally just see people and meet them, we're like, hey, how you doing? They go, I'm fine.
Yeah.
So what does that mean? It doesn't mean anything, because
It
they're not
doesn't.
fine. And or no, the famous same old, same old, same old, same old. What's same old? Right? Not good. And but what I'm saying is that that it's courageous what you've done, Stacey, especially what I as an American, knowing what I know about Jamaican culture, that the number one thing that I can hear is that she put her business in the street, right? Oh my gosh,
Yeah.
like elephant ears. They're like, oh my gosh,
Yeah.
so they'll listen, buy her book, let her make money, right? And let the story help you move past the lies. I think one of the things that's very clear in your book, the amount of lying that goes on in many relationships, that
Oh, yes.
that's people could relate to. Okay, where you been? It's 4:30 in the morning on a Monday night, right? where you coming from? You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? Oh, I was at the card game. Oh yeah. Okay. Okay. Tuesday night, 5:30 a.m. Where you coming from? Right. So the thing is that that's just one type of lying. You
Yeah.
see what I'm saying? And so
But the
so
biggest lies, the lies that we tell ourselves, though.
right. And then it's also, you have to ask yourself, okay, I'm in this situation, what do I do realistically? Like you're saying, you were in England, you were fish out of water. You had no family support. And that's what we see a lot
Yeah.
of times, that the people will make sure they disconnect you from family and friends so that you are solely reliant on them. That it's part of a
Strict
controlling.
manipulation. Yeah.
Yeah, manipulation. There's the word. You're being manipulated. Wait, I always just say they're playing you, right?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like an instrument, and
True.
I say, I go, they're playing you like the third viola. So so for people that know music, the difference between a violin and viola, the third viola never gets to play the melody. It's always off, playing some little thing. No, I used to play the violin, so I used to talk to people who play the violin. They used to complain, we don't get a chance to play the melody, right? So the thing is, this is real life, and as a good a friend of mine has constantly reminds me, he says, we all have an unknown expiration date. That's what he said at my wife's eulogy.
True.
And everybody understands that when you
Yeah.
say that. And so, especially because of the way the last 2 years have played out, because literally the pandemic started officially in March 2020, and now we're in
Right.
March 2022.
Mhm.
And so we have had what I would call a Bronco ride of the last 2 years. It has just been amazing. All how things have changed, the amount of businesses that gone out of businesses, the people, neighborhoods have changed, cities have changed, the New York City has gotten so bad. I don't even want to go into New York City anymore. I mean,
Right.
it makes me want to cry. I'm from New York, and what happened to New York City, it
But you
just,
see,
it's just,
whilst all of that was happening, I tried to look at it from, a positive standpoint. And,
yes,
I was looking to say, like, the pandemic has given me a greater appreciation for life. When you saw how fickle, we always think it that, we don't know the minute, the hour, that our number would be called. But, when you actually see your whole lifestyle change, like just like that, in a matter of days, you're now
yes,
being told that, you're under curfews, you're restricted from going anywhere without a mask, all these kind of, it just gave me a great appreciation. And when you look at, like, the death toll as well, the number of persons, and, I lost a friend to COVID. So, it really gave me a great appreciation for life, and, encouraged me even more to just, live life to the
yes,
fullest, you
yes.
know make the most of every moment, because you just
Beautiful.
don't know.
Right. And so you ended with love and life. So Stacey, for anyone that's really touched by your story, wants to read your book or has read your book, how could they reach out to you if they want to contact you? Who knows? Somebody may want you to come have you speak and pay you. That would be
All
nice.
right. That would be nice. Nice.
Yes.
All right. So I actually started an Instagram page, and it's Stacey Speaks 2021. What I'm trying to do with that is just to continue encouraging persons daily, trying to motivate them, trying to get them to love themselves. That is so important. We underestimate the value of self-love and self-awareness, but trust me, it is like the solution to a lot of our problems. So I've started the page Stacey Speaks 2021,
And
and
that's on Instagram.
it's on Instagram and it's on YouTube. I also have an email, which is stacyspeaks.net@gmail.com. And I have a webpage, which is stacyspeaks.net.
Okay. So audience, you're paying attention. So say the name of your book again, Stacey, for anyone that missed that part.
Okay, so the book is Memoir of Keatis number 17.
Great. And this is by the best-selling author Stacey Williams, and you will be, because that is the intention that has been set, and you will be on fire. So Stacey, what final thoughts or key idea would you like our audience to take away from today's broadcast?
Like I just touched on before, just love yourself. Love yourself. Like, we always hear this Whitney Houston song that says, learning to love yourself is the greatest love of all. And I think we just look at it as a song, but actually self-love is the greatest love. It will actually save us from a lot of the things that we sit in and that we put ourselves through. Because if we really love ourselves, then we're going to put our well-being at the forefront of every decision that we take. It's not going to be about anybody else but us. And sometimes we have to put ourselves first. We tend to put everybody else before us, and that's the wrong thing to do. It's not selfish to put yourself first. I have this little acronym that I use, which is FLY, and it is first, love yourself. So I'm just encouraging anybody that's listening to just work on that, because, once you have learned how to really and truly love yourself and be accepting of everything that you see in the mirror when you get up every day, then trust me, you're on a different level, and, can't be easily shaken at all.
Well, Stacey, that was so beautiful. And audience, I just want to point out, many people think that song Greatest Love of All was by Whitney Houston, but George Benson was actually the first one.
Oh, was the original? Okay.
Yeah, George Benson.
Might have been before my time.
And yeah, I'm showing my age, but George Benson, the part of his story is that he was a studio musician, and then he said, well, I want to perform. And they said, no, you're supposed to be in the studio. You can't. Okay. And then look, he's saying the greatest love of all is learning to love yourself is the greatest love of all. And then when he says, when you find that special place that you've been dreaming of, and that's the thing. And so Stacey, I want to thank you for bringing more hope and light and love into this conversation and into this plane. I have a very good friend, one of my mentors. He signs off his emails sending you lots of light and love. And so when I saw the last words in your book, it said light and love. I said, hey, where did you get that from? So that's an example of a synchronicity, and it's a wonderful thing. So audience, we are going to say adieu to the lovely Stacey Williams for now, but we will have her back at some point in the future, because we know that on her blog and in this Instagram thing that she is doing, that will morph and transform as it gets stepped up to higher and higher levels. So this is Dr. Bob, the stress relief doctor, saying thank you for listening in if you're on the podcast, and for viewing if you're on the YouTube channel or you're seeing this in some other way. We want to say special thanks again to our featured guest, Stacey Williams, who hails from Jamaica, and I'm currently in Pennsylvania right now, but I just want to thank you for listening and watching. Be safe and be well. Until next time.